The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Monday morning helpline session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start, as always, by welcoming our participants to our Monday morning free-for-all, where we can talk about anything that you like. So I understand that there are some questions already in the chats, but I just want to let everybody know that, yeah, anything that's on your mind, any topic of discussion. Want to do some role-playing? Let's do it. Let's crank it up. You would like to discuss your ads, perhaps. You've got questions about that. We can talk about that if you like. We're not going to look at any ads today, but we can certainly discuss whatever you have on your mind. Any of the USPs or any of the guarantees or the certificates, how they work. Anything at all we can discuss today. The sky's the limit. Let me know what is on your mind. Let me know what challenges you're having, and maybe we can offer some solutions for you. And also, any success stories, easy for you to say, any success stories would be welcomed as well, of course, and it'd be really helpful for others to hear what you're doing that's working successfully for you so that they can go and they can do the same thing. Anyway, having said that, Andrea, why don't we use our time here as wisely and efficiently as we can, and let's get started with some of the chat questions or anybody that would like to pose their questions now.
Yes, and we don't have any hands raised yet, and if you'd like to raise your hand, go ahead and do so now. You must have a mic or you'd be on the telephone to ask us an audio question. Click the little hand icon you see on your control panel, and then we'll get to you via audio. We have a ton of chat questions, and I even have some that were emailed to me over the weekend. So we'll start with Nancy's. Yeah, we have a lot. When you receive a lead and they provide an incorrect phone but a correct email, do you still send them information in the hopes they will respond to your email?
Well, I'm not sure you send them the information in the hopes that they'll respond to your email. The reason you're going to send them the information is because you're obligated to send what was requested, honestly. All right, so yes, what we want to do is we want to try to make including all of their contact information required on the website. In other words, if they do not fill the information required on your web page, then you are not obligated to send them the information. However, if it doesn't make it mandatory for them to fill out the fields and all they do is include their email address, well, then you've got your website set up so that they can do that. And I would suggest calling Success Website and having it set up so that if somebody does not include the other fields on the web page, that it not send them the information. Okay, so that way, if I go in there and it says name, email, phone number, and I only put in an email, when I hit submit, it bounces right back and it'll say, please include all required fields. Now, if they elect to leave those fields blank, then they don't get the information. If they elect to put bogus information in there, well, then I guess we're going to have a really hard time reaching them. And that's why we need to generate lots of leads because, listen, every single buyer who buys and seller who sells all give up their anonymity to a realtor. They all do give up their anonymity. They all give their name to a realtor. They all give their phone number to a realtor. They all do it. You do not buy a home or sell a home without eventually giving up your anonymity to a realtor. The reality is that you do it when you're serious and when you're ready. So that means that there are a lot of people going onto your website looking for information who really aren't serious and ready at this point. And many of those we're just not going to capture. But the 1, 2, or 3 that you get today, here's what we know about them. The reason that they are giving accurate information is because it's highly likely they are serious and ready. That's why they're doing it. So you need to do a really good job with those prospects and treat them like the gold that they are. Remember, you may have had dozens or hundreds that went to your website and weren't ready, weren't serious enough to give their information, and they left. So the ones who do that, you must understand the reason they did it is because they're very likely serious and ready. So if we don't put forth the appropriate effort of reaching and converting that prospect, we're letting a a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 commission check just walk away. And that's how you need to think of every one of those prospects is the reason they're in your email inbox, the reason they gave that information is because they're good, they're serious. All right, so there's some work for you to do. Make those fields mandatory.
Okay, our next question. Our next question from Bob is about our editorial ads and our other ads that say your required identification. What type of information would they put there?
Well, if you're in California, you put your DRE license number is required. So it does vary from state to state. In some areas, in some places, like in our marketplace in Canada, we had to include the broker, not the agent's name, but the broker's name. In some places, it's the phone number of the brokerage. In other words, whatever you are required to disclose in terms of who the real estate ad is coming from, that's what information needs to be included in the ad. And really, it needs to be included in every ad regardless, but it doesn't have to be self-promotion. See, this is what we mean by less branded. When we say non-branded ads, everybody gets all flipped out and freaked out because they think that we're trying to get around disclosure. But really what we're saying is this, okay? Typical real estate ads use self-promotion. But when you're offering information, self-promotion causes the prospect to go from being compelled by the information to being scared away by the salesperson that's being promoted. So when you remove the self-promotion and focus on the information, you're going to generate a ton more leads. However, we are required to disclose. So although we are not required to self-promote, we are required to disclose our license number, our brokerage, our names. It varies from place to place, state to state, and marketplace to marketplace. You know what your own disclosure laws are. In every single real estate ad you run, you need to include this information. Okay, by the way, the other day we had a question on the helpline call about the about Facebook posts. And I want to really make this clear to everybody so you understand why in a Facebook post you do not need to have that disclosure there. It's because a post is just a post from your Facebook page. So your Facebook page is full of disclosure information. A post is just taking a portion of your page and posting it. But so in other words, where do I have on Facebook, when I'm offering information on Facebook, where is it that I disclose my license number, my name, my brokerage, all of that stuff that I'm required to do? Where do I do that? Do I do it in the post? The answer is no, not on the post. On the page, on your Facebook page is where. So that way, when you're posting from your page, the page can simply offer information, all right? And you're still well within the boundaries of disclosure laws. Okay, that way we can use the space in our post to promote the information that's being offered. And your page isn't going to come from your name. It's going to come from an information source, right? So that's the name. You know, San Diego Real Estate Buzz is one of our members down here in San Diego has San Diego Real Estate Buzz. But if you go to San Diego Real Estate Buzz, their page on Facebook, guess what you will find? Disclosure, all kinds of disclosure. But the posts from that page are posts about information, right? And on those posts, they're just portions of the page. So a post is not an ad, right? The page is the ad, and that's where the disclosure is. Okay, so I got that question out of the way, whether it was asked or not. It was at some point. Let's keep going, Andrea.
Okay, we have a few questions about Craigslist, and I'll address them now. Our first, do I put my ads under real estate services?
Absolutely not. Hey, well, you know what? Let me backtrack on that. You can try it, but because if you tried and it works and we told you not to, then that would be pretty silly. And obviously the whole idea is to test. But in our exhaustive testing, not just from us, but from hundreds and hundreds of other, if not thousands of other members who have come before you, here's what we've discovered. Whether it's in print, in the newspaper, or on Craigslist, when you run under services, you're not finding prospects. In other words, prospects aren't looking for a service. They're not looking to get their air conditioner serviced, right? If you are looking in the classifieds, you are looking for homes for sale. That's what our prospects are looking for. They're not looking for a service, right? Like, when was the last time you said, I need to find a car. I think I'll look for a car salesman under services. You've never life, nor has anyone in the history of mankind. It's because that's not how we look for things. So here's my problem. You put forth all of this effort to post ads under services and nobody sees them, or at least none of our prospects see them, because none of our prospects are looking for a service. They're looking for houses. Buyers want houses. So that's what they're looking for. So if you're going to run your ads on Craigslist, run them under homes for sale. And if you're going to run them under homes for sale, it means on Craigslist anyway, you have to focus on a home for sale, or at least make it sound like you're talking about a home for sale. You know, lovely family home, quiet neighborhood, great deal, must sell. Sounds like I'm talking about a property. So, you know, here's the bottom line with Craigslist is that if they think you're a realtor and you're just spamming to generate leads, they'll turn it off. They'll ghost it, and that's the problem. And you know, I would suggest that Craigslist isn't as robust a lead generation website as it once was for us. You know, not only because of the people that are going there, but also because of the limitations of the ads that we can run. For example, in those ads, use your hotline. Use your 24-hour hotline. You can't have a clickable link in the ad. So it makes it very, very challenging to lead generate at all. And fewer and fewer people are using it as a tool to search for real estate for sale. And so I would rather you take a $5 a day budget and put it towards Google ads and Facebook ads anytime. We'll generate more meaningful leads. And here's the best part of it. You got to remember that when you run ads on Craigslist, you manually have to upload the ads. Manually, you must do it yourself. And if you don't do it and you do it sporadically, well, then your leads will come in sporadically. Whereas with Facebook and with Google, putting a $5 a day budget towards it, you do nothing. You have nothing to do with it. Every day the ads are there, and that's it. If you reach your budget, the ad goes away. The next day it reappears again. If no one clicks on your ad, it was free that day, but the ad ran all day. And that's leverage. You walk around knowing that regardless of what you're doing, you have ads that are running that are capturing leads and sending those prospects to your webpage, which also work 24 hours a day for you as well. So, you know, that as far as Craigslist goes, just, you know, I wouldn't dissuade you from testing it, but be aware.
And you answered all of the other Craigslist questions there were just by answering that first one. It was basically some of our newer members are just starting out using the advertising, and they're curious as to how they modify anything that requires a link to put in Craigslist, because obviously links are not allowed.
No, you can't. What you have to do is just use your hotline number, you know, or I think you might be able to spell out the domain name. But yeah, no, listen, Craigslist is designed for an individual person to sell something. That's what it's designed to do. So I've got this old lawn tractor in the garage and I want to sell it. I'm not a lawn tractor salesman. That's not what I do for a living. I'm not trying to sell lawn tractors because I work at Honda Lawn Center, right? No, it's for the guy or gal that's got something that they want to sell, and the individual user goes onto Craigslist and sells their stuff. And the problem is when companies get on there, they take it over from the individuals that wanted to use it. So the individual person that wanted to sell their lawn tractor now is invisible because all of the local lawn tractor salespeople get on there and they spam it by posting ads every hour on the hour, so no one can find this poor guy's lawn tractor, and he says, screw it, I'm not going to advertise on there anymore. So Craigslist put their foot down and said, you know what? This is what is happening, and it's not what it's designed for. Craigslist is supposed to be for the individual person. So if you're a for sale by owner and you want to sell your house, you can put an ad up on Craigslist under homes for sale, selling your house. But we don't want every realtor running ads on there, promoting themselves under homes for sale, promoting things that aren't a home for sale. And we certainly don't want them running auto ads that just automatically renew, you know, every 24 hours or whatever it is. And because by doing that, it stops the individual person from putting their home up for sale on Craigslist, because how could they compete, right? I put my ad up and in 15 minutes it's off the first page. And so now I have to have a full-time job posting ads on Craigslist. And it kind of ruined it. So Craigslist put their foot down a little while ago, a few years ago, and said, no, no more. If you want to run an ad on Craigslist, you've got to advertise a specific property, and that's it. And if you're not, No, an individual person selling their house doesn't have a website domain name and squeeze pages. So that's why they eliminated all of that stuff. And what I think it did was a couple things. Number one, obviously it made it more challenging for us to use it as a lead generation tool, obviously. But it also, because it became less popular, there's a lot less postings on it now. It becomes less popular for prospects to go to. There was a time when they could go there and all the realtors would have ads up there and there'd be lots to look at, and it was a good spot to go to. If you're someone looking for homes for sale, Craigslist was a go-to spot, whereas now it's not. And so that's just the reality. I'm not dissuading you from trying it, but I'm just explaining the reality of it. I hope that helps.
Okay. Our next couple of questions that I found were sort of related are members who are saying they can't get our marketing to print correctly, or they're not able to use the ad generator. These types of questions really are going to require a one-on-one with someone in our office due to the different types of devices and programs you might have. It's just easier working one-on-one to try to figure out why it's not working for you. So you can call our office at 1-800-538-1034. and they will be able to help you on a personal basis on trying to figure out how they can fix it.
Yeah. Okay. So the ad generator is not working, or they're just wondering.
They're saying this specific question I was looking at now, when they're trying to generate the first-time homebuyers ad, it doesn't upload correctly to their device. It doesn't show what it should show. But that's definitely something that I would have to find out what type of device, what type of PDF program they have. There's so many questions depending on what type of device you're using.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so Shirley, we have other questions.
We do. We have other questions. Lewis, he's not getting very much response from a Google ad. He's tired of wasting money and he's getting a little frustrated. How would you suggest he handles this?
Okay, well, let's first of all establish this. Google is a really good spot for prospects searching for real estate, but the ad that you're running obviously isn't attracting them. All right, so I don't want to just yet blame Google as the problem as to why you're not generating leads. There are other things that we've got to look at. Okay, the first is this. What keywords are prospects searching for to find your ad? That's number one. If we do not have effective keywords that prospects are searching for, then the prospects that we want to attract aren't going to see your ad. So the first thing we got to look at is what are the keywords that they're searching for. Number two, I'm going to do like a little troubleshooting with you here. If I was talking to you one-on-one, this is what I would do with you. Number one, the keyword searches. What are the keywords that prospects are searching for to find your ad? Number two, what is the ad that they see? If I do a search for real estate in your area, what ad do you run? And is it just distressed sales, bank foreclosures, free hot list? Is that the ad? Because if that doesn't match up with what I would likely be looking for in your marketplace, it ain't going to work. So we got to look at the ad itself. What does it say? When I do that search for those keywords and your ad appears, what ad is it that appears? And how well does it match up with what is in demand in your marketplace, with what prospects are looking for? Okay, number three, what does the landing page look like that the prospects visit? Because remember, we might get traffic from the ad to the web page, but then when they get to the web page, we get nothing from there. So the problem isn't the ad, the problem is the web page doesn't work to compel a prospect who has responded to the ad to ask for the information on the page. So those are the three things that we've got to look at to fix this. Now here's the reality. One or more of those three things could be broken, right? It isn't a matter of it just isn't working. One of those or more than one of those things is failing, and we just have to figure out, okay, so which is it? Now, I would, if I had to take a stab in the dark, I would guess this. In your marketplace, there are properties and geographical areas that prospects are very specifically looking for. And if our Google ad is too generic, then prospects aren't compelled by the information that they're seeing versus what they're actually looking for. So that's where you need to step in, and you need to describe in the ad the kinds of properties or the areas that are in demand in your marketplace where prospects are likely looking. And if we can do that, it becomes more likely that we'll have an ad that compels a prospect to click on it, to respond to it. So here's a little homework. I want you to tell me how many views you're getting and how many clicks to the website you're getting. That's what I want to determine. Is anyone responding to the ad at all and they're just not responding to the web page, or are they not seeing the ad and not responding to the ad, period? So you got a little bit of homework to do, but here's the bright side is once we figure out the formula of keywords, what ad to run, and the landing page, you leave it alone. Just hit the repeat button, leave it alone, let it run forever and ever, and let it generate a lead or two every day. All right, good question.
Our next question from Daniel. What type of percent response can we expect from a 2,500 postcard, find out what your home is worth online, 1% or more?
No, I wouldn't expect that much, but you know, I mean, clearly it depends on the area. Like if you send it out to an area in the marketplace where, you know, people typically don't move for 50 years, then you're not going to get as much a response. So, you know, that is going to make a big difference. So let me just share with you all the variables. First of all, if you said on average you generated a 0.5% response, that would be very good. And I wouldn't be surprised because it's happened many, many times before. But here are the circumstances where that happens. Okay, the circumstances where that happens would be when you're sending these out to a high turnover area where people move on average every say 4 to 7 years. Okay, that means 1 out of every 4 or 5 households will be selling in the next year, which means 1 out of 8 to 12 are going to be selling within the next 6 months, which means that 1 out of 16 homes that you send a postcard to, they're going to be moving in the next 90 days. 1 out of 16 to 1 out of 20 is going to be selling their home within the next 90 days. Those are the ones that are more likely to respond to your postcard. So now, here's the thing. We know that just because they plan on average, they're going to 1 out of 20 is going to be selling in the next 90 days, doesn't mean they're going to respond to your postcard. Of course, that doesn't mean that. But we can get some of those. So if you can center around a neighborhood with that kind of turnover, you're going to get a much higher response somewhere in that area of 0.5%. But if you send it out to a more established area where on average people move, you know, every say 8 to 20 years, well, then obviously do the math. You see what happens when you break it down and find out, okay, so how often would that mean people are moving every, say, 90 days, and you're looking at, you know, 1 in 100. Well, now all of a sudden your percentages go way down, and you can't expect to get that kind of a response. You know, really, here's the thing, though. The leads that come in from somebody who has responded to a direct mail post, you've got to think of what they did, what that person did to describe their property, give their contact information, hit submit. That person who did that is moving. I mean, 19 times out of 20, anybody that responded to that offer of finding out their value of their home through direct mail, they read it, they put it on the kitchen counter, they went to their computer, they filled out the information. They didn't stop when it asked them for their contact information. That's what somebody does who's just curious of the value of their home. They stop there. They don't give their contact details. When they go all the way through this process, that prospect is moving. They are moving. And this is why those were the leads that went directly to Craig for him to follow up with personally. He always cherry-picked the over-the-phone evaluations and the over-the-net evaluations, or the home down the street evaluations. Anybody that responded to those things went straight to the daytimer of Mr. Craig Proctor to follow up with. And the reason is because he converted those leads at an incredible rate. What do I mean by that? I mean that 7 out of 10 of those prospects, he would book an appointment, a listing appointment with those prospects at an astounding rate. Sometimes in an evening, it was every one of them he would book appointments with. So when you start to have that sort of success rate, you take those, you cherry pick those, and in the space of an hour or two, Craig can book 5 or 6 listing appointments for the following week for his outside salespeople. And, you know, he can do all that in the space of a couple of hours following up with these leads. So I want you to bear that in mind. It is the quality of a prospect, the quality of that seller that makes those leads so valuable, not the quantity. So I'm not telling you what areas to send them into, but I'm just telling you that the area that you send your postcards to will directly impact, of course, the percentage of response that you generate based on the turnover. All right, I'm glad to hear you doing that.
Okay, this is from Laura. When you put up a sign at a listed home for a guaranteed sale, if they want to do that, do I write contracts with a kickout right on my listed home before I list their home?
That's a difficult question to understand. Okay, I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm sorry, Andrea, can I ask you to read it one more little time? Hello?
I'm sorry. I was talking to you, but I had muted. So let me read it again. When you put a sign up at a listed home for guaranteed sale, if they want to do that, do I write contracts with a kickout right on my listed home before I list their home?
Okay, so is Laura on the line? Can I just talk to her? Because
let me see. She actually emailed me this question, so let me pull her up.
Okay, so let me just explain the guaranteed sale program. You have a seller, and the seller wants to take you up on the guaranteed sale program. They want you to guarantee their property. But the only way you're going to guarantee their property is if they're moving up and buying one of your properties. So what you are doing, if they agree that they're going to purchase one of your properties, you are writing them an offer to purchase. That's what it is. It's an offer to purchase their home, but the offer has conditions in it, right? You're giving them an offer that has conditions. First of all, the offer is for 95% of your agreed upon price less your commission, right? So that's the amount. But there are other conditions as well. Like, for example, if between now and whatever date, whatever your closing date is, you find a purchaser that offers equal or greater value, your offer becomes null and void. Okay, that is by far the most important condition in your offer to purchase their home. Remember, they must be moving to one of your properties, so that's established. If they're not buying one of your listings, then there's no guarantee on their home. Okay, if they are purchasing one of your listings, though, you are going to write them an offer to purchase their home. But the way it works is there are conditions. Condition one, you're offering them 95% of agreed upon market value less your commission, so whatever that amount is. Number two, if between now and the closing date, maybe that's 120 days, you procure an offer that is at or above that guaranteed amount, then your offer becomes null and void. In other words, you've procured a buyer that's already offered them whatever you've offered to pay them or more. So they get the higher amount. They get more than what the guaranteed amount is. So your offer then becomes null and void. In other words, it gives you a chance to market their property. You even may want to have a clause in there that says this: in the last 60 days, you reserve the right to accept an offer that is below the guaranteed amount, if you want to, and make up the difference. So if an offer comes in $1,000 below your guarantee, you reserve the right to say, no, we're going to take that offer and I'll just pump in $1,000 out of my commission so that I don't have to buy the home. Because remember, you're getting two ends of a commission on the other side because they're moving up and purchasing one of your listings. You're getting two sides of a commission on the other end. So no matter what, you're making money. It's impossible not to make money. But I would suggest this: because the prospect is purchasing one of your properties, it makes it very unlikely that that they fall under the rules of the guaranteed sale program, which is why over so many years, Craig guaranteed so few properties. Because the reality is this: they've got your one listing, and then they've got thousands and thousands of other listings, and every day there are new listings coming on the marketplace. What are the odds that they're going to buy your listing as opposed to one of the thousands of other properties that are available on MLS that aren't one of your listings? And the answer is extremely likely they're going to buy something else, which means your guarantee becomes null and void. So there's some food for thought in terms of how you're going to put together the guarantee program.
Okay, our next question from another Laura. How many domain names should we have for our ads? One for buyers and one for sellers?
How many domain names was the question?
Yes.
Well, you should have a domain name for each and every ad. For every ad you run, you should have a domain name. Okay, so because remember, the offer has to correspond with the offer you're making. So if I'm running an ad that says free list of area homes with pools, my domain name wouldn't be www.lotsofchickens. Okay, no idea where that came into my head, but you get it, right? There's complete disconnect there. That makes no sense at all. If I'm running an ad that says hot list of homes with pools, then my domain name is going to be carlsbadareapoolhomes.com. You're going to have a domain name that directly correlates to the offer in the ad and correlates to the web page that they go to, the landing page. Okay, they're all going to the same website, but they're going to go to that specific landing page that offers pool homes in Carlsbad. Does that make sense, Andrea?
Yes.
Just say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now, what does it cost to buy a domain name? $10 or less. You can buy them very inexpensively, especially if they're clickable links. Then you can get .info, the real cheapies. You don't have to get a .com if they're not typing it in. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is you want to procure domain names that correlate to both your area and what's being offered in the ad. Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. I have two phones, and one of them is just beeping in my ear because the battery was running low. So I switched. I'm very prepared.
That was a very
yes,
seamless
everybody,
switch.
I did something. I want to warn everybody. I did something very stupid the other day. I've had my little MacBook Air for a few years. I've probably had it for 2 or 3 years, and I take it everywhere. It's a really great little computer. And I always, I put it in my computer bag. I put it in the trunk, as I'm sure many of you could relate to. And I've been doing that for years. Well, I guess it was on Thursday last week, I had a couple seminars in LA, in Los Angeles, and it was 100 degrees, or at least it was on the freeway. It was 101 degrees, in fact, on the freeway. And, LA traffic was brutal. So I was sitting in traffic for 2 or 3 hours. It was in the trunk in my computer bag, which I've done many, many times before. Anyway, I melted the computer, like as in inside the parts are melted. And so it would be like trying to plug in a T-shirt. Like it's now an inanimate object. It has no life to it whatsoever. So don't do that. I learned my lesson. I will never have a laptop in the trunk. I'll keep it in the passenger air-conditioned compartment with me. I'm talking to you on my phone line because I need to get a computer today. So if any of you have any advice or words of wisdom about any kind of specific laptop you think is awesome, I was just going to go get another MacBook Air, but I'm open. So send me an email, james@craigproctor.com. I'll take your advice. What do you think of that, Andrea?
That's awesome. And Laura in Florida, it's very hot. She says to keep a cooler in their trunk. So maybe you should try that.
Wow, that's a killer idea.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a really good idea. Never thought of that. All right. Well, hey, maybe I will.
Yeah.
It gets expensive if you don't. All right. So who's next, Andrea? What do we got?
Okay, we have Linda. My broker advertises in a pull-out section in a paper and a monthly home digest. I can afford to do both of these. Agents do typical homes with pictures. Would it be helpful for me to do one for seller and one for buyer ad unbranded in each location?
Yeah, no. Here's what I'd like you to do there, okay? Remember this. The prospects that are going to that pullout page are looking for homes for sale. Now, it's true that doesn't mean that they're not also sellers. It doesn't mean they don't have a home to sell. But you must remember, their reason for looking there is because they're looking for homes for sale. Now, here's the thing. They've got all kinds of pictures of properties to look at, which is really attractive. It really grabs attention. But the problem is this. All of those individual properties are being disqualified by the overwhelming majority of the buyers. Each property is too big or too small or too expensive or too cheap, wrong area, wrong bedrooms, wrong bathrooms. Each individual property is being eliminated by the prospects. Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to use your spaces to make an offer that cannot be eliminated. So what I want you to do is I want you to offer a hot list of properties that would compel a prospect in your marketplace. What would they be looking for? For example, if you were in Florida, maybe you would run in there, you would say, golf course deals, free list of must-sell homes on multiple golf course locations. These homes are great deals, must-see, free list, www.whatever-area-golfcourse-deals.com. So in other words, instead of offering a home on the golf course, we're offering all the homes on the golf course. And you can't eliminate all the homes on the golf course if you're looking for a home on the golf course, right? So this is what you want to do is use that to promote properties for sale, while all the other realtors are using it to promote a property. Plural, more than one, that's you. Them, one, singular, not as compelling. And here's what is going to happen. You are going to generate 10 to 1 more leads than any one single individual property that's being run there. All right, so don't promote yourself. Make it easy to, I'm not saying don't have your disclaimer on the bottom and all that disclosure stuff, but use your website and your hotline. Use both. It's a print ad, right? So you want to have your 24-hour recorded info and your website domain name to get this free list of these compelling properties. All right, but I would like you to do two ads that offer hot lists of properties. Maybe the must-sell ad, and then another one that is specific to a certain type of property that is of high demand in your marketplace. And I'd like you to run those two ads surrounded by all the other individual homes for sale, and you are going to get a lot of attention. Great question. Good luck.
Our next question from Ariel, and let me start this off by apologizing. Ariel brought it to my attention that it's a boy name, not a girl name. And as he jokes, I did grow up in the age of A Little Mermaid, so I do apologize. I kept on saying Ariel was a she, but I was incorrect on Friday. So got a good laugh out of that. But what Ariel. So what he is asking, on the callback script, you mentioned on the buyer's side a form to fill out to entice the buyer to come in. Is this a form you have or something I have to make?
No, neither one. You already have it. It's your MLS. In other words, when you are setting up an auto search for a buyer, you go on your MLS and you fill out the required fields that indicate what properties are being searched for. That's the form. The form is online. And how many different fields are there on your MLS that you could search for? I've heard as few as like 40 and as many as 400. So you can say that. You can say, I have over 58 search criteria fields that I will be, considering that can customize your search through my custom computer. So when we sit down together, I can do a really good job of pinpointing exactly what we should be searching for so that we do not miss out on the perfect property. But I do want to do a thorough, good job for you. And so by filling out this form, I can be assured that we will, and so can you. It's free. There's no obligation. When's a good time? Okay. The form is your MLS, whatever it is that you fill out to determine what they're looking for. There you go.
Okay. Our next question I received via email, and I see it here again in chat. What do you suggest our members do if they're having a hard time getting a hold of their coach to speak with them via email or via phone? Who would they contact?
Who would they contact?
My first thought was Anna at our office.
You could absolutely call Anna. 1-800-538-1034. You can ask to speak with Anna, and she will definitely get in touch with your coach ASAP. She's got the bat phone. But, I hope this is the exception, not the rule. And, this does happen from time to time. But honestly, you should have a good relationship with your coach whereby you can shoot them an email and, get a response from them, that day. It's just an email. If it requires a quick 5-minute phone call, I know, the coaches, in 9 out of 10 circumstances wouldn't have a problem picking up the phone and taking 2 or 3 minutes to answer a question that you have right then and there on the spot. Call Anna and we'll remedy this for you.
Okay. Our next question from Linda, do we have a golf course phone message?
I don't think so. I don't think there is a script pre-recorded for that. You would have to do that. Yeah, you would have to record that. But you know, I mean, you've got the written scripts all there, so you would just customize the script. Instead of saying distress sale, you would have it say golf course properties, and you can record it yourself or have somebody else do it. Right? You can even have AMS or the hotline company. They can record that script. As a matter of fact, you know what? Scrap all that. Call AMS and ask them if they have a recording for golf course properties. Okay, if that's the one that you want to do, then call them and say, do you have a pre-recorded script that somebody has recorded for golf course properties? And if they don't, I'd be pretty surprised. But even if they didn't, they can very likely get it recorded for you. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Our next question comes from Carmen, and she typed in she wants to use the why rent when you can own marketing on Google, but she's been told by Success website that you cannot use the first time homebuyer or why rent when you can own on Google. Have you heard that before, James?
Why rent when you can own? What do you mean you can't use it on Google? Read that again, Andrea, please.
I sure will. She's saying she wants to run the why rent when you can own exactly from the coaching site and was informed, I'm sorry, it just jumped, and was informed that Google will not accept this type of advertising by Success website.
Who are you informed by?
Could it be that it's a report and not a list?
Yeah, well, and I was just going to say that is you can format it either way. Like I can run an ad that says, why rent when you can own free list of first-time home buyer properties that carry for less than rent. There, that's a list of properties with the why rent when you can own heading. So that would be perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, I think that would be a really good ad for somebody searching for first-time home buyer. So I'm a little confused as to what you mean by you can't run the ad. Listen, I would recommend not offering free special reports, only lists of properties if you're using Google. People are searching for real estate using Google, so offer real estate. As opposed to free reports on how to buy a home, offer homes. That I would agree with. So I wouldn't say it's because you can't do it. I'd say because it isn't going to work as well offering a free report versus a list of properties.
And she typed to me to clarify. She's saying what they will not allow her to use is the domain she picked, orlandonomorerent.com. But didn't really clarify anything.
orlandonomorerent.com. Google will not let you use that domain name.
That's what she's saying. And she's not saying,
really?
Yeah, she's saying Success told her that it will not let her use that, orlandonomorerent.com.
Okay, well, I guess they have an explanation for that. I've never heard of such a thing before. But yeah, I'm really surprised, and I don't understand why. But okay, so we'll have to get another domain name. That's no big deal. So let's turn it around. Instead of the negative, we'll go to the positive. Orlando firsttimebuyerdeals.com. You know, or orlandofinallyowned.com. Instead of no more renting, we'll focus on the upside, which is now you own, right? orlandofinallyowned.com. I don't know if that sucks, but you get it. You can rack your brains and come up with one that's really good and that they'll allow. But remember this, all they're doing is clicking on the domain name anyway. Nobody's entering it into their keyboard. They're just clicking on it. So we don't need to get too hung up on that.
Okay. There are a lot of questions. Some of them we've already addressed. I apologize that I'm taking so long for the next one. I want to say again, if you do have an audio question, we'd love to talk to you guys. So please click the hand icon. We have one that just popped up, Ariel, who we just addressed the question. Ariel, did you have some more?
No, good morning. Thank you for responding to that question. Just in general for the ad, I had an issue with the Facebook. I actually, James, do you recommend that I do a sort of a community page, because I try to build my ad on Thursday to send it to you guys. When by the time I realized that I had created the ad, the actual ad had my picture in it, which is a no-no for what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So, do I need to create like a community page, an additional page, just a simple page with the ad in it from the ad
Yes.
generator?
Yes, that's exactly right. Here's what I'd recommend. Go ahead and run the ad and then send it in on Friday, and we'll take a look at it on Friday, and then we can always improve it, because this is the reality. It's going to happen anyway. We're going to make changes to the ad as you go, so the sooner you run the ad, the better.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, our next audio question comes from Jack May. Your line is now open.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hi, Jack.
Hey, James, I got a question about FSBOs. You don't talk about them much. Do you avoid FSBOs just because they're not looking for real estate help yet from agents, or what's the best way to go about them in marketing?
Well,
I think
I think they can be very, very good, but really it depends on how successful they are in the marketplace at the moment. So if you told me that for sale by owners have great success and they usually sell, then the reality is we're going after somebody that we really aren't going to be able to help, because if they're successful in the market conditions right now, well, then they're just going to sell privately. But in most circumstances, most of the time, the for sale by owners aren't successful, and they wind up listing anyway. If that's true, and only if that's true, then it's a really good target audience to go after. And that's why we do have ads that are designed to attract for sale by owners.
And I've got our editorial for sale by owner pulled up right now on the screen.
Well, yeah, and here's the great thing about that is that what we find is the best time to attract the for sale by owner is before they've actually gone for sale by owner, right? Because you got to consider, as soon as they are for sale by owner, their home is for sale. They've got their homemade sign out front. They've got their property, on Craigslist or whatever. All of the other realtors are contacting them. So it's really difficult for us to set ourselves apart by calling them and saying, hey, I know you've been called by all the other realtors, but honestly, I'm different. I'm not saying we can't do that, but it is more challenging to do it. What is easier is this. We run an ad, like an editorial, for example, that says, how to sell your home yourself without a realtor and save the commission. And before they've gone for a sale by owner, they respond to it before any of the other realtors have called them, because they haven't gone for sale by owner. That's the best time to get that prospect to raise their hand. Now, we're not going to get all of them, but we will get some of them. Now what we can do is, if they want to try selling their home themselves, we can help them. And we can help them with the premise being, if you are not successful and you decide to consider hiring a realtor, would you let me apply for the job? I'm not asking you to hire me, because right now you wouldn't know whether you would. I'm saying, if you do wind up selling your home with a realtor, would you consider allowing me to apply for the job? And as long as the answer is sure, then I will help you. Here's a professional for sale sign. Here's a hotline ID number. You can record your own script. You can get all of the leads that come in on the hotline. They can go right to you. And all of the other benefits that come with that. All I ask in return, all I'm asking, what's in it for me, is if you are not successful and you decide, you know what, I'd like a realtor to help me with this, that you allow me to apply for the job of helping you sell your home. But if you are successful, then that's wonderful. I'm glad I could help.
Great,
and
thank you.
That is exactly what we've done. So here's what it amounts to. This is going to be a supplement to your lead generation. By no means is it going to be the bulk of it, but, hey, I would say that in certain market conditions, once a month or more, we would have a seller that would respond and end up going for a sale by owner that we would help. But the overwhelming majority of the time, any responses that we got on that for sale by owner ad were people that were planning on selling their home, maybe thought about for sale by owner, but never actually would do it. because this was where Craig came up with this idea of the FSBO ad, is that he read a statistic from the National Association of Realtors that said that upwards of 70% of sellers, before they listed their home, considered selling their home themselves. They never did it, but over 70% of sellers contemplate the idea of going to Home Depot and getting a for sale by owner sign and selling them their home themselves. And the reason they think about doing that is because what they do is they sit down and they crunch numbers and they think, my God, I'm giving away $10, $20, $30,000 in equity in real estate fees. See, what they don't understand, of course, is that the real estate fees are built in to the value of their home. So you take away the real estate fees, the value of the home doesn't stay the same. It is reduced by the commission that's already built in. So you're walking around saying, my house is worth $500,000. No, it's worth $500,000 real estate fees built in. You take away the real estate fees and sell it privately, you take away the commission, and your house is actually worth, $470 or whatever it's actually worth. Because the buyer coming along, well, they want to save the commission too. If they're buying a home privately, then the benefit to them is I save the commission. So anyway, this is not a conversation to have with them over the phone. This is a face-to-face conversation that you're having with any seller that's considering for sale by owner, which is the reason why if more than 70% of sellers consider selling their home privately, but only a tiny fraction actually ever do. So this ad attracts them, and it becomes a really good strategy. All right, great question. Who is next, Andrea?
Our next question comes from David. I'd like to send the requested list first, then follow up with a phone call. I formulate the list personally through my MLS. When I send the list, what should the email text to the requesting buyer or seller be?
Please find enclosed the free list of properties that you requested from my website regarding pool properties. Thank you, David. And all of your information there, and then you should send them the list. In other words, you want to personalize it so that it is abundantly clear that this is coming from you, right? Because guess what? You are the one that's going to be calling them, right? So when you call them and say it's David calling, then they might have a little bit more of a heads up as to who David is.
Our next question comes from Kim. She says, I received my first reply to my Google ad. As silly as it sounds, I'm now in panic mode because I want to call back with the callback script, but my anxiety is preventing me. What would your suggestion be to get over it?
A hot bath, glass of wine. No, okay. In all seriousness, why don't you do this, okay? I want you to make these calls with the goal being that you're going to have a conversation with them about their timing and motivation. You're not booking an appointment. Even if they jump up and down begging to meet with you, I want you to go into this phone call saying, no, I am not booking an appointment with anybody. No, not booking an appointment. Because that's where your anxiety is. You are afraid of asking them to meet with you. So let's take that right off the table. Forget about it. No appointments. You're going to make your first calls knowing that no matter what, you're not going to book an appointment with anybody. And then that takes the fear away. Now you can get used to having conversations with people about their real estate plans. And you know what you're going to find? When it becomes suitable to ask for an appointment, it'll be obvious and it won't be uncomfortable. But so I pick up the phone knowing I'm going to follow up with this Andrea person. She's requested a list of properties in such and such an area. I'm not booking an appointment with her. I am calling knowing that I'm never, ever asking her to meet with me. All I'm going to do is I'm going to call and say, hey, Andrea, you were on my website and you requested a list of properties on the golf course. I just wanted to let you know that I did put together that list myself for you and I emailed it. Is that okay, Andrea? And I know very likely Andrea's going to say, yeah, I got that. Thank you. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to have a conversation. By the way, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? If you were to move, are you looking for a home on the golf course here locally, or might you move out of the area? Any possibility of that? Do you own or rent your current home? Would you like to look around first before you sell it? Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? I want you to ask these questions, have a conversation with them, and at the end say, well, if there's anything else that you need, I'd like to, you have my contact information, and have a wonderful day. I hope the information is helpful to you. Goodbye. No pressure. You're not asking anybody for anything. And now I'm telling you, you do that a couple of times. Do this a couple of times, and all of the anxiety about making phone calls goes away. See, what we are afraid of isn't the phone call. It's asking for an appointment. We're worried that they're going to decline your offer for an appointment. So don't ask for an appointment for the first few times you do it. Get really comfortable with the idea of having a conversation with somebody. Then what you'll find is, you know what, when somebody conks you over the head saying, well, we're going to open houses every weekend and we've been combing the internet looking for properties, you're going to say, hey, you know what, I could help you with that. I can do a much better job for you by emailing you immediately all of the best properties. When have you got 15 minutes to sit down with me so we can do a good job of determining what you're looking for? It's free, there's no obligation, and I'm flexible. What would be good? Days, evenings, weekends. No thanks, I don't want an appointment. Okay, have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Oh, okay, I'll still breathe. Everything's cool. No problems here. But I think you just have to do it a little bit and take these little baby steps, and you'll arrive at, you know what, this is really nothing to be anxious about. It is perfectly fine. You are only speaking to people that asked you for information. If they didn't ask you for information, you would never be calling them. So you know that these prospects you're speaking to have raised their hands, have asked you for real estate information, have received the information from you, and that's the only reason you're calling them, as a courtesy. And here's what you'll find. If you really emphasize that you're calling as a courtesy to let them know you received their request and you sent the information, they will say thank you. And you'll just go, they just said thank you. That feels so good. Now I can have a comfortable conversation with somebody that just said thank you. All right, so I hope that eases some of your anxiety. But hey, the hot bath and the bottle of wine is not a bad idea either, right?
I think that's a great idea. Anytime.
Of course you do. All right. Let's take a couple more here, Andrea, before we wrap it up for today.
Okay, Randy has a question, and unfortunately he's confused. With the multiple websites they're now involved with, where does he find his leads from the Success website? How does he make notes, schedule follow-up calls? And before you answered this fully or gave your opinion on what he needs to do, I wanted everybody to go to the approved vendors. And we've added the Success WebCare link here. And this link will take you to your control panel. You can submit a ticket. You can join a meeting so Success customer support can help you. So this is a great starting page when you're just not really sure where to get started with Success website.
Great. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you certainly need to reach out with them. But honestly, the way that you want this to work is that the leads that you're generating from your Success website, one, should come into your email inbox, but we also can make it so that whatever contact management system you're using, we can populate your contact management system with the leads. Okay, so, and that's something that you can definitely discuss with them with your appointment with Success website. And I know that on the Monday helpline call, I believe it was last week, with Christy Fillion and Steve Raitt, that was one of the topics that came up, in fact. So you might want to go back in the archives and listen to last week's helpline session with Steve Raitt and Christy Fillion from Success website.
Okay. A lot of people are saying thank you, James, for your advice with the follow-up script and getting over anxiety. You're so insightful, was one of the comments.
Go on.
So many people are coming on saying thank you, thank you. So yeah, we forget that when members are newer, it does take a lot of guts to make that first call.
So that's, I would just say, why don't you do this? Go into your first sets of calls with prospects and say to yourself, no matter what, I'm not booking an appointment. I'm not even offering an appointment, not even going to come up. I just want to have a conversation with somebody. That's my goal for this call. I want to have a conversation with somebody about their real estate plans, and that's it. And it takes away all the anxiety. And then we'll take the next baby step after that, which is if you make the offer to meet and they reject it, You say, thank you very much, have a great day. No, we're not going to handle it. We're not going to try to fight it. Take away all the anxiety. What if they say no? If they say no, wish them a great day. And then we'll baby step from there, where we'll handle it. But I think those are the baby steps to take, where in no time flat you'll feel perfectly comfortable, because if you can get the prospect to say thank you, it really does take away it really does take away all of the anxiety. You know, somebody who just said thank you to you, you know, I mean, that's pretty easy to have a conversation with somebody who just said thank you. Yes, dear, I did get the information. Thank you. You know, it's not hard to have a nice conversation with somebody who just finished saying thank you to you. All right.
Okay. Our next question. When we are a buyer's agent in a sale, the seller's agent always sends out the just sold. What should we send out to say we have the qualified buyers?
Okay, so read that one more time.
Okay. When
Just
we're
listed.
right, so let's say Laura's the buyer's agent in a sale, and the seller's agent always sends out the just sold. What should she send out to say that they have the qualified buyers?
You know, I don't know if you remember this, Andrea, but remember a few weeks ago, Mike Burge had a marketing piece that he put together showing his buyers in waiting. He had a really well formatted ad that talked about his over 400 qualified buyers in waiting who have described exactly the property that they're looking for in the area and their immediate contact information. So in other words, to generate sellers, he's advertising buyers, which obviously makes a whole lot of sense. But I just remember that the way that he formatted his ad, it was in a direct mail style, which is really what I think it was. Laura asking this question?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what Laura's talking about. So anyway, let me see if we can find that. Do you remember Mike Burge's ad? It was several weeks ago now.
I'm kind of going through the clinic. I am picking a couple of days to see if I can see anything, but I do remember that name. It's familiar.
Yeah. So anyway, but yes, here's what you're suggesting is when we have a listing, it wouldn't be untypical to run a just listed around that listing for any other sellers. You know, I question whether it's as effective as an online home evaluation would be, but it's definitely something you can do, and that would be branded, right? Just listed. The whole point of just listed is it's branded. Now, what would also be branded is promoting your buyers. That is a branded ad. That is not a less branded. You're not offering information. You're offering buyers. So sellers want buyers. If you're selling your home, you want buyers. So by you advertising that you are working currently with these real buyers and you've got your page formatted so that it shows what your buyers look like and what they're requesting, that becomes very compelling to a seller. The more buyers you have, demand goes up, price goes up on their property. That's exactly what they're looking for. So yeah, we'll find Mike Burge's ad example and maybe use that to format a direct mail piece yourself. That would be the equivalent of a just sold, but of course, instead promoting buyers. All right, let's take one more question for today, Andrea.
Okay, this question is from John. I have used the callback script on responses from my Google ads, and people thanked me for calling them and collecting more information to customize the list. That was more of a comment than a question, but a good one.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show, you know, if you really speak slowly and you emphasize, you will hear thank you. You know. Hi, Andrea. It's James calling with Craig Proctor's office at RE/MAX. Hey, Andrea, the reason I was calling you this morning, I got your request on my website yesterday for the free list of homes with pools, and I just wanted to give you a real quick courtesy call and let you know I did put together some properties that match what you were looking for, and I emailed them over to you. I hope that's okay, Andrea.
Yes, thanks.
Like, I dare you not to say thank you. Well, what else could you possibly say? You're going 9 times out of 10, you're going to say thank you. Okay, now, how about this? If you're that worried about the phone, how about just do that? When Andrea says, yes, I did, thank you. Say, have a wonderful day. If you need anything, you've got my contact information on the email. Goodbye. And oh, now making these phone calls is nothing. You do that a couple times, then take the next baby step. Now to say, hey, by the way, Andrea, you're thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? Have a conversation about real estate. Let's get rid of this anxiety, because the way we get rid of it is by proving to ourselves this is no big deal. Really, it's no big deal at all. We are never calling anyone that isn't interested. We're not cold calling. We're not bothering people because we want something from them. We're calling them because they wanted something from us, right? Think about it. When you're cold calling, you're calling because you want something from them. We're calling because they wanted something from us. It's the opposite. I would never be calling you if you didn't request a list of pool homes. Because you did, though, as a courtesy, I'm letting you know that I put together a great list for you, and I emailed it. I hope that's okay, Andrea. Of course it's okay. Thank you. There's no big deal here. This is very comfortable. But I get it. You need to prove that to yourself. So take it in baby steps, and you'll start to feel really good and not overwhelmed or anxious about it. All right, cool deal. Andrea, thank you very much for your help. I want to encourage everyone, any ads that you have that you'd like us to take a look at, upload those suckers, and we'll look at them on Friday. Thursday, we're going to do role-playing with you. So come prepared to do some role-playing, and we'll really dive into that even more thoroughly than we did today. Have an awesome week, everybody. Andrea, thanks so much.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please check the coaching site for your personal webinar schedule. Everyone, have a wonderful afternoon. We'll talk to you all very soon.